I've got to get to some of the practical advice you give to folks. You say they should be donating to HBCUs, which are all historically black colleges and universities, deposit money into black-owned banks, support black-owned businesses, and write a letter to your government officials supporting reparations. Let's go into donating to HBCUs really quick. And remember, I only have 4 minutes, so I want to make sure we get all some action steps in.
Very good. The HBCUs, there's 101 HBCUs. They have 300,000 students. The average endowment of an HBCU is only $12 million. Over 70% of HBCU students qualify for Pell Grants. So the HBCUs, they deserve a special Pulitzer Award, if you will, a MacArthur Award for being able to survive and teach people who are impoverished. So we need money to go to HBCUs. In terms of black businesses, Bevy, the largest employer, private employer of black people in the country are black-owned companies. So when you do business with black-owned companies, you're actually helping to employ black people, and black people who have jobs are self-sufficient, and self-sufficient people live in healthy communities. Thirdly, I said to make deposits into black-owned banks. And what we know from research is that 70% of the mortgages given by black-owned banks go to black people, whereas less than 1% of mortgages by white banks go to black people. So what we see is the method by which money flows into the black community can be black-owned banks. But we need people to put money in those, deposit money in those accounts, open new accounts, and put meaningful dollars. You can put up to $250,000 in a bank with no risk whatsoever because the federal government will guarantee it. And so I ask people to put up to $250,000, open an account, and leave it there for 3 to 5 years instead of taking it out. Finally, Bev, I recommend that people support reparations. America has never given reparations to black people, but there's precedent for them giving reparations to others. For example,
Japanese Americans.
Yeah, 120,000 Japanese Americans were put in the intern camps during the Second World War. 80,000 of them under the Reagan administration. 80,000 of them were given checks for $20,000 for the 3 years that they were put into these internment camps, which was an act of blatant racism. And then we also know, fascinatingly enough, as it relates to black enslavement, over 900 white former slave owners were actually given reparations, Bevy. And they were given reparations to the tune of $300 for every slave that was freed as a result of the Emancipation Proclamation. But nothing has ever been given to black people. And there's always seemingly been this disdainful thought on the parts of most whites to say blacks need to pull themselves up, when in actuality, what all the examples we've just given shows that the federal government and state governments have subsidized white wealth. And the result of that is today, Bevy, the average white person who doesn't have a high school degree has greater net worth than the black person with a college degree. All of this, that arch goes back to 1619 when all of this began with the first slaves.